Hey Yoda, Tsenakoto, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Thaumcraft 4.2 with Birdtross. We're standing in front of the Alchemy lab, which has been shaping up over the last couple of episodes. We have a bunch of golems doing who knows what, and I think it's actually really cool. This is exactly the look that I wanted with the Alchemy lab. The ability to be able to look up into the roof to see all sorts of items coming in to the Alchemy lab is pretty awesome. And having golems inside the Alchemy lab itself, we've only just started with that. We have two guys supplying our automatic elementum factory. Let's go ahead and talk about this a little bit. It's had a decent amount of time to run here. If we come down and take a look at this chest, let's have a look. Yep, boots of the traveller. So we have 5 stacks, about 5.5 stacks of elementum stored inside of this chest at the moment. At the moment it's not doing anything except fueling itself. So most of it is just going to waste at the moment, basically. I've basically made some changes here as well. I have an extra 3 item grates here, and I have a water channel underneath here. I was doing some experiments with the water channel back here, but I've noticed that sometimes the elementum would actually sort of sit on the lip and didn't quite land in the right spot. And as I added more and more item grades, that seemed to keep happening. So I've resolved the problem hopefully by now by adding an extra 3 and water. Hello. Throw that in there. Let the hungry chest sort it out. This stair solution doesn't work most of the time. Well, it works most of the time. Sometimes Phil here will actually end up standing on the half slab, and he has to be 1 block beneath, as we discovered at the end of the last episode. So I'm thinking what I should do is move those out with full blocks, but we'll have to see. I'm guessing that he should be able to jump into the same block that the Nitor occupies, but yeah. So there is a limitation with the elementum factory at the moment, in that one of the aspects that it requires, potentia, is lacking. There is basically very little potentia inside of cactus. I don't think there's any cactus around for me to look at, but it only has 1 potentia per block of cactus. So each time a cactus comes in, it's only generating 1 potentia. So that's a very slow system then, yes. And it doesn't help that the cactus farm, when the cactus breaks off, sometimes it will land right next to the cactus, which causes it to despawn. Here comes in a cactus, and it also generates a heap of armour, essentia. I've basically had to put in 2 void jars here, one for aqua and one for armour, because we have so much armour in the system. Each cactus generates 3 armour, and I have 3, I think even 4 now. I'll show you guys that in a little bit. I have 4 lamps of growth running off of this cactus just dribbling in here. So the cactus is a fantastic source of armour for doing your lamps of growth, but it generates so much that you need to void it. I'm using these restricted essentia tubes. The cool thing about restricted essentia tubes is that they will actually halve the suction that's going through them. Let me just quickly go and get my tuning fork. I've switched out to the silverwood stuff once again because I want to be able to charge it up a little bit more efficiently than what I was doing with the stuff. Basically what I was doing is sort of standing next to the Vs relays and letting that go. Anyway, so the suction on the jar here is 32. So when this goes through here, it goes down to 16, and then this steps it down again down to 8. Now this suction here actually changes all of the time. I can go ahead and do it again, and it changes down to 5. That basically means that the system isn't requesting armour at the moment. Whenever the suction goes up like that, that means that one of these lamps of growth that is out here is requesting essentia. I've got all of these jars of armour stored up over here, sort of hanging from the pipe, like grapes. I'm gonna need to do something with all of this excess armour. I might have to stop this machine temporarily to let all of this go down, because that is just way more than what I can deal with this machine. So the system is inefficient. It's not working all that quickly at all with this very low amount of PLDTO coming in. So I thought I could try and sort my way around that by making a little reservoir of potentia jars over here that you guys have been able to notice by now. So what I was thinking is that if this thing is working so slow, and this thing basically has, this thing basically has no limitation on the amount of coal that it's got, because we just have so much coal coming in, that I could somehow utilize that to make myself a bunch of reservoir tanks of potentia over here. And the reason for that, of course, is that I use the fuel to fuel my wings, right? So the idea is, you have, see, the thing is, eight files will make yourself an entire jar full of essentia, right? So, and you can have 64, so 64 times 8, or 8 times 8 is 64, right? So the idea is if you have 8 of these, you can fill up an entire stack of files. So that was the idea there. The problem with that is that this slurry tank in here will eventually fill up with ignies to the point where potentia can't be processed from this guy. So you end up with, basically, potentia can't get in here, and the system jams up, right? And I've had to, as you can see over here, jam it a couple of times, unjam it a couple of times. And I also, with this over here, I tried to actually use a couple of my spare PLDTO tanks that are hiding up in that corner over there. I thought that I could use those to speed this up a little bit, and that definitely does work, but that's not a sustainable solution. So I might use that a little bit more just to get rid of some excess PLDTO, but this is basically, at the moment, it's sort of a bit of a dead system, right? We need more PLDTO coming in if we want to speed this system up. I'm not going to worry about that this episode though, because we're not using the elementum for anything right now, and probably I'm just not going to worry about it, period, until it becomes an actual issue, alright? Cool. Also, in recent news for the base, I now have melons. Basically, I do have a screenshot, I'll probably put that in about now, of me finding a villager that was able to trade me melons. And so, yeah, that was cool. I was sort of losing hope on finding melons. The only other way that I know of to get melons in vanilla Minecraft is through melon seeds in an abandoned mineshaft. I searched an entire abandoned mineshaft and didn't find any melon seeds. So I'm very glad to have found these melons, and the reason that we need the melons is for healing potions, because you need to turn the melons into glistering melons, and then the glistering melon is an ingredient in healing potions. And the reason that we need the healing potions is that because they require Sarnor essentia. And the reason that we need Sarnor is because of the Grinning Devil faceplate. This is something that we can add to the Thaumium Fortress helm, and that's something that's pretty much what's going to be the majority of today's episode. I've already got the essentia requirements sorted out, we just need to assemble the rest of these materials. So let's get to it. Let's get back upstairs. Oh, looks like I've got some elementum on me, but that's okay. So we're going to need an ink sac, a shimmer leaf, a leather, zombie brain, 2 pieces of iron, and of course the Thaumium Fortress helm itself. So let's busy ourselves with getting those materials. Let's see, 2 iron. It looks like I need to dig into my blocks just to sort those out. I like to keep at least 1 iron ingot in there, but if I have 10, which basically means that if I have 10, I can make a new block. So that's that. Let's get a shimmer leaf out. I should have a couple of these stored up. Here we go, from our silverwood escapades. And we're going to need an ink sac as well. And a piece of leather. I think that's all that we needed. Now, the leather is over here. Here we go. Is that everything? A zombie brain, of course, of course. Get our zombie brain out. It's been a while since we just did a straight up infusion together, guys. Here is the Sarnor over here. Sarnor, yeah, that's the right pronunciation. Sort of a slightly lighter shade than Weaktus. Slightly lighter. Which basically means that we now have all of the aspects for the sort of the red to purple rainbow sort of sorted out for now, which is pretty cool. We only have 3 aspects left that we don't know about, so we'll have to Oh no, that's right, we've got the wheatium from that crusted taint. We can put that in, probably, I imagine that will actually go right next to Praik and Tatio. I'm sure they'll be the best of friends. Anyway, looks like we're going to need to take off our Thaumium Fortress helm. It should work with any durability. And let's just quickly mesmerize the thing, the pattern. That's going to be ink, iron, leather, shimmer leaf, brain, iron. If I can remember that, that's going to be a hard one. Ink, iron, shimmer leaf, is that right? Leather, zombie brain. Let me try that again. Get the tuning fork off, which is a renamed Essentia resonator, of course. So it's leather first, okay. Is that right? I just want to try and get it right. That looks right. That looks right. Okay, let's try that now. Get this stuff down. Oh, no, you go down here. Because this is a very high instability recipe, so we want to try and get the symmetry on this pretty good to minimize the instability very high. I think we've done something that was very high as well, I'm not sure. But this is definitely one of the most high dangerous instabilities we've ever done. Infusions. That looks pretty good. It looks like Shimmerleaf is another one of those items that appears super huge when it's bonked on a pedestal like this. Okay. Let's get our tools back down. How you doing? Maybe not the tuning fork. Okay, let's get this guy out and go. Of course I can't see the recipe, the Essentia requirement, because I don't have some goggles of revealing. Let's take our legacy set, put them on, just to see what's going on. Can I actually see that Essentia going in without it? I can, but I would prefer to see this. Ooh, we might not actually... No, it looks like we are going to be okay on this. Or maybe not. Do I have any spare Kongyettiho around the base? No, that looks to be okay. An entire stack of Sarnor. So I have this full jar. This jar was completely full, plus I've got an extra couple, just in case things go a bit hairy. Looks like we drained almost every last bit of Kongyettiho in the system. I should have paid a little bit more attention. And of course we have a ridiculous amount of thaumium hiding in these jars as well. I've already said during these infusions that the longer that they go on, the more unstable they become. So when you have these really, really long infusions, it can be a little bit problematic for the instability. I've just noticed that there's a bit of fog going on over there, but because the lux that was in these two jars has dissipated. Well, that one's empty now, so let's just sort that out. Looks like we're pulling the items in now. It's been doing so for quite some time, actually. There we go. Man, seems to have gone off without a hitch, which is pretty cool. When we take a look at this, we see that it has the Grinning devilness on it. Very cool, and it kept the enchantment as well. There we go. Oh wow, that looks pretty awesome. Can I get into F5 mode? That's pretty cool. Wow. So that is going to be really nice for staving off some of these warp effects, because to recap, it'll step down the lethality, the dangerousness of these warp events, supposedly. I haven't had any major events yet. You know, if anything, all of the events that I've had thus far have actually been quite helpful. Anyway, that is the first of the faceplates. There are two others. They are a forbidden research, but we will go ahead and research those guys. Someone in the comments was saying that we need to hurry up a bit to get the forbidden knowledge out of the way, to get that something interesting happening at some point. But anyway, the first one here, the Angry Ghost faceplate. Thaumium Fortress Helm upgrade. This will be really fun. It requires 5 Perditio, 5 Mortus, and 3 Tutamen. So let's have a look. Okay, picking that up has given us some permanent warp. But when we go ahead and read about it, it says, this mask is designed to be added to an existing Thaumium Fortress helm. When you are struck in combat while wearing this grim mask, the creature striking you has a chance to suffer a withering effect. Serves him right, huh? Very cool. It basically gives you sort of thorny witheriness. That's pretty cool. That is very awesome, actually. Seems to require almost the same recipe, except requires a bone meal, poisonous potato, and a wither skeleton skull. I have yet to actually go in the nether to do any sort of wither skeleton skull harvesting. We will eventually need to fight a wither to get ourselves one of the wand foci. I guess it's daytime outside. Burn, fools! But let's just move away from that. Yeah, so that one's, I don't know, I think this one's a little bit more useful. The Grinning Devil Faceplate's a bit more useful than that. I think that could be useful in some situations, but I just have one question. The thing is, now I have this faceplate stuck on here. Is there any way for me to take it off? I'm not sure. We might be running into the situation where we might need to actually make several thaumium fortress helms to make use of all of the faceplates, but maybe we can switch them out. Maybe it would cost a heap of extra essentia to, you know, would require us to do that. Even if we wanted the Grinning Devil faceplate, we'd have to put that on again. But anyway, there is one more faceplate here, the Sipping Fiend. That one sounds awesome. It's a forbidden knowledge as well, also mostly harmless. Looks like it's going to require 5 exanimes, 5 weak tooths, and 3 thaumium. Unfortunately, we don't have the weak tooth requirement, so let's come over to the table and pick some up. It's a nice cheap aspect. Let's go and see what it says. This one's also given us some permanent warp by the looks, oh dear. But when we read about it, it says, this mask is designed to be added to an existing thaumium fortress helm. When you strike a creature in combat while wearing this mask, you sometimes steal a small portion of their life force to strengthen your own. The fact that you do this by supping on their blood doesn't seem to bother you nearly as much as it should. You wonder if you should be worried about that. This one requires 64 exanimes, 16 thaumium, and 64 weak tooth essentia, so this one's kind of a bit crazy to get. It's going to require a bucket of milk, a ghast tear, and rose red dye, in addition to the 2 iron and leather. Okay, so, I don't know, none of these 3 faceplates seem to give any massive benefit. They don't really seem to be any really good. Probably the Grinning Devil faceplate is just the best one to just sort of have as your default when you're wandering around in the world, because the warp effects are probably the most common thing. If you're going into combat, yeah, maybe, you know, specifically going into combat for an extended amount of time, then stuff like this can be a little bit useful. I'm just wondering when something like this would come in handy, like if, for example, you're hunting with the skeleton skulls. I think I would go with the Sipping Fiend one over the Angry Ghost faceplate one, if only because the wither skeleton skulls are actually quite rare for me right now. I don't have any, and you do need them to fight the wither, and I would like my first 3 to go into the actual wither fight. So that is the faceplates in Thaumcraft. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit more interesting effects from these forbidden knowledges, but they are only mostly harmless research. It's a small aside to the Thaumium Fortress helm, in my opinion. Yeah, we're going to stick with the Grinning Devil faceplate for now. I think what we need to do as well, guys, is actually get ourselves the last of these 2 tools here, the Shovel of the Earthmover and the Hoe of Growth. I've yet to actually make either of these. I basically haven't made them at all. And we should probably go ahead and do that. I just want to quickly check my Fabrico. Yeah, I was wondering. Looks like we're all out of Fabrico. Let's have a look at the other requirements. 16 terror. I'm drowning in terror. And this one, oh dear. So elbow. I'm drowning in that as well. And Meto. Meto is actually a little bit of a harder one to come across. It looks like I stockpiled some at some point. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, take a quick break. I'm going to go ahead and assemble the materials to make ourselves the last of these thaumium tools. We have the materials ready to get the Shovel of the Earthmover going, so let's do it. Did I put the jar back down? I did. I was just a bit worried for a second that I forgot to replace the Fabrico jar. Just quickly made some workbenches and burned them up. Nothing major. that's actually it, isn't it? Then goes the other crystal, then goes the diamond, and eventually the granite plank. Awesome to be doing infusion. There it is. We'll have to get repair on this at some point as well, actually. Might go ahead and just do that right now, shouldn't we? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. It's been a while since I put repair on something on camera. That is going to be an anvil. I do have a spare anvil, but I wouldn't just like to make another one just in cases. Always be prepared for when things go wrong. I've paid the price in previous videos. Right, that's all of that, and we're also going to need some silice mondus, which we do have a couple spare. I'm going to need to make another batch of balanced shards soon, aren't I? Yeah, they're sort of starting to run a little bit dry, but we're okay for the moment. Let's get these blocks going. Very nice. And that should be good to go. Did I take the shovel off? No, I didn't. So let's just rip straight into it. I don't think... Hold on, let me just quickly check the essential requirements. That's a good idea. Out of the way, ho. Enchantments. Down here. Fabrico ordo pelmutatio. I do have the ordo pelmul... Okay, I do have everything, so we can proceed. So, go, I guess. And it's going to drain the levels out of me as well. There we go. Get those levels going. Oh, that's the Traicantatio already done. Then comes the Ordo. It's a nice quick one. So it's no problem when you've got the materials. I do remember when I was starting out Infusion that being quite difficult for some reason. Anyway, there is the shovel of the Earthmover with repair 1 on it. Basically it's going to replace that stone shovel that I've had for the entire series up to now. Well, I mean, obviously they break and I have to replace them, but anyway, that is the shovel of the Earthmover. Let's go ahead and recap about what it can do. When used to dig earth, sand and similar materials, it will dig a 3x3 area. Okay, and if we right click on the side, it will place a 3x3 section of the same material. Okay. The digging and construction depends on the face, I see. And shift will negate everything. Pressing, hold on, what's this? You can see where blocks will be placed in the world, and you can change the orientation of how blocks are placed by pressing G. Blocks can be placed at the power. What the heck? Okay, we're gonna have to try this out. Is there any dirt that's nearby? I'm not sure actually. What am I talking about? I live in a base that's like this. Okay, let's get down. Oh hey, there's a little interface that comes up. Okay, but anyway, let's try this out. So 3x3, huh? Yikes! Oh, and they come towards you as well, like they do with the whatever it's called, the axe of the stream, of course. Very awesome. Well, that's going to save a little bit of time with digging. But what was that other stuff? Okay, so when I right-click on dirt, it will place a 3x3. I see. Okay, so you can fill it back in just as quickly, if not even quicker. That's pretty awesome. What else we got here? Shift is pressed, you can see where blocks will be placed in the world. Okay, so if I hold shift with this on, here we go, that's what makes this box. Okay, and so I can press G. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I just want to try that a little bit, so let's get this. It actually seems to use quite a bit of durability there. Anyway, so if I do... Right. Okay. Just trying to work this out. Right, so... Okay, I'm just trying to think of a way that might be useful, right? That's pretty cool, but I don't know, it just seems like it's very easy to put stuff back. Okay, we're going to have to change that back to flat mode. There we go. Hey. Flat mode, please. That's pretty cool. There's a pretty cool little tool there for filling stuff in, I suppose, if you ever need to have a cavity in your world that needs filling up. Anyway, that's the shovel of the Earthmover for now. That's going to enter pretty much standard use on the keyboard, and I'll have to come up with a cool name for it as well. Probably something like Earthquake. That would actually be a pretty cool name, because I've got Waterfall and Tornado as my sword, but haven't got the sword equipped at the moment, just because I don't really need it. Okay, now what we need to do is make the Hoe of Growth, so the recipe for that is pretty much similar to all the other tools that we've used up to now. Get a diamond and a great wood plank down, a great wood log rather. And we should have everything all sorted out here. Let's have a look. Yeah. And that is taking a lot of durability out of our wand. But the reason that I'm using this wand, I already said it, but I'll go ahead and repeat myself. It's just a bit easier for me to work with and charge up if it can go into an arcane work table, at least right now. We need to start working with nodes a little bit more. It's sort of the one side of the mod that I haven't really taken much of a deep look at yet. And I guess the only other thing would be mana beans as well. We could get looking at that at some point. I just remembered that I need to scan these. I need to scan them whenever I make them. Thaumcraft rule number 1. Scan, scan, scan. Scan, Stan. Get those aspects stored up. Very cool. I think I'm going to go ahead and throw that repair on here as well. We're going to have the spare levels, etc. I just want to make another spare anvil. Seems to be another relatively stress-free infusion, which is all gravy, baby. There is our repair 1, Hoe of Growth, which I guess also needs a pretty cool name. So this thing will, it's a 3x3 right click, it will basically till the ground. That's loud. That is quite loud. Minor criticism. Okay. Let's get back up here. That'll turn back to normal at some point. Now, it says that it can also act like a piece of bone meal. Why am I doing that? Not sure. Oh, I guess because I wanted a fist for this, I see. I want to see if I can do it with this. So if I right-click that... Yeah, okay, it's not going to act like bone meal on that guy, but it should be able to bone meal up. Wow! Sound! That was pretty cool. Yeah, it says that it can also make some stuff grow that wouldn't normally grow. So I just want to see what that says. That normal bone meal can't. I'm guessing what that means is that... Or the only thing I can think where that might be an example is on actual grass. So let's see what happens if I come out here and use this on... Okay. I see. Bravo, Azenor, bravo. What about on this? Oh, that's not going to do anything. Okay. Not sure what's coming to mind there. Maybe there's... Azenor had something in mind, obviously. I don't know what it is. Oh well. Now maybe you guys will have to let me know, but... I think we've made enough progress here to call that an episode for today. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode of Thaumcraft 4.2 with Birdtross. Grinning devil faceplate. Thank you very much for watching. Kia kaha. I'll see you in the next episode. I'm like the Grim Reaper or something with this hoe. It's pretty cool.